Hey, it's your boy Hendo checking in though, coming to y'all with another video, and today we got the FBA problem with Africans. Let's go ahead and get into the video. Not gonna hold you. Let's go. First thing I want to bring up is that I don't think most FBAs have a problem with Africans on the continent of Africa. You know what I mean? Africans on the continent of Africa, most FBAs don't have a problem with them. And I believe that is because we don't know you. We don't know most of these niggas. We don't know you. We don't hear from you. You're not an issue. You're not a statement. You're not a part of what's going on here. You know what I mean? In the Americas. Although you may feel tied to Black American culture and things of that sort, we don't feel tied to you. That's the thing. So that's point number one. Second thing is, so the people I think we truly have a problem with is the Africans who migrate to America. That's the real issue. It has nothing to do with people on the continent of Africa. We don't know you. We only have a problem with Africans who migrate here. And you'll hear Africans or Pan-Africans sit there and say, oh, like they don't have none of this smoke for the white man, but they got all this smoke for us. Let me explain that. Let me break that down for you. The reason why we got all this smoke for you is because we know for a fact we got smoke with the white people. And it's not even the white people. It's the white supremacist system. That's an important distinction because we have to understand that it's not all white people. It's the system of white supremacy. And yes, some white people uphold that. You know, they uphold the system of white supremacy because without it, you have nothing pretty much. You're at the bottom of the totem pole. So they uphold that so they feel like they have that type of power. So yeah, we have a problem with the white supremacist system in America and how it's been treating our people from slavery times to from the moment the European landed on this land, right? So with that being said, so the problem with that is we know we got smoke with them. So what is all this smoke with the Africans and other immigrants who migrate to America? Well, the problem with that is that they're used as tools of white supremacy. And that's a fact. They're being used as tools of white supremacy to they're being used as tools of white supremacy to steal FBA resources, Black American resources. Same thing with the Asian. And you see the Asian boycott going on right now with Black people, and we're mad. Well, the problem with that is that it's not their fault. They're being used as tools as white supremacy. Now, the things that they do and the way that they treat us is their fault. The Rick Child situation is their fault. Those are the type of ways they treat us when we come in their stores. When your stores are in our neighborhood. The reason why your stores are in our neighborhood is because the white man uses them as a tool, gives them the loans that they won't give to Black Americans, foundational Black Americans. They won't give us these loans in our own neighborhood to run our own businesses. We used to have our own banking system. We used to have our own stores. We used to have everything. But once we integrated with these people, they were able to control us better. So with that being said, we lost everything we had. You know what I mean? Our stores, our own community, and they put us in, redlined us into little communities where they stole the resources from and gave those same resources to immigrants coming over here. You know what I mean? So that's not truly a problem with the Africans, you know what I mean, or any other immigrant here. It's not their fault. It is their fault that they take up with the white supremacist talking points. You know what I mean? You don't know how many immigrants I hear saying, oh yeah, look at the Black Americans, like they're the worst in the country, they're gangbangers, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, you come from a country where people are cutting people's heads off and hanging them upside down. If you're from Africa, you come from a country where there's still child slavery going on. And meanwhile, you come to America and get on your fucking high horse and talk shit about my community like we're the worst you ever seen in your life. When we all know that's not true. That's why you don't want to go back home. Let's just be honest about it. You don't want to go back home because you know what you're going back home to. A lot of them like to say it's because of the resources and things of that sort. It's not because of the resources. It's because you're scared. You know you're not safe there. Your children are not safe there. Your children are way more safe in America than they will be in Haiti, Africa, multiple countries in Africa, most of the countries in Africa, Mexico, South America. They're having the whole cartel wars down there. And then the Mexicans from there flee the danger down there to come here and talk shit about black Americans being gangbangers when that's 1% of the whole black American population. There's 41 million black Americans. There's about 800,000 gang members, registered gang members. Even if you want to give it a million, even if you want to, because it says that in the FBA stats, registered gang members, black American gang members, 800,000. So even if you want to put 2 million on that, that still is not, that's like what, not even 2% of all black Americans in America, but they love to put those type of stereotypes on us. And then we have people like Pan-Africans. My problem with Pan-Africans is FBA is a lineage of people here that we're saying this is us. This is us. There's nothing against anybody else, but just like you could be a Jamaican, come here and now you're a black American, or you could be a Haitian, come here and now you could be a black American. And then when shit hits the fan, you want to say, I'm not black American, I'm Haitian. You want to give all the credit to your homeland. Okay, cool. We're no longer giving all the credit to just blackness. There's no more we're black. No more we're black American. We're FBA, foundational black American. We want all the credit for everything we do. All the inventions that our people has created. All of all of America that our people have built. We want our credit. And what irritates me is that these people come over here and act like they don't understand that. So we're talking about Africans right now. So let me get back on track. Africans. A big problem with Africans is they try to monopolize black. So if I've listened to like at least 5 lives of these Africans going off and, talking all this shit and we're a lost people. Where's all that smoke for the Europeans? Because if you want to be technical, you're saying the out of Africa theory, Europeans descend from Africans. If you're using the out of Africa theory, all races descend from Africans. So why aren't you taking credit for them? Why aren't you taking credit for their accomplishments and the things that they've done? But you turn around in the same breath and say, oh, you guys are African. So everything that was done in America before you guys got citizenship is African accomplishments. That is so fucking weird. Why aren't you doing that to the Jamaicans? Why aren't you doing that to the anybody? And then on top of that, they have a whole group of people. Like, what is their name? Somalians. The Somalians say, me no black. We're not black. We're not African. They tried to be Middle Eastern. We're not black. We're not African. You don't have no smoke for them, though. You have no smoke for them. But as soon as FBA say, we're not, you know what, we're not black. We're not just black American. We're foundational black American. We want to delineate and be our own group. All of a sudden, it's all this smoke for black Americans like, oh, you guys are Africans. You're nothing but an African. It's an identity crisis. Where's all this identity crisis for any other group in Africa who says I'm not African or I'm not black? And it's not just the Somalians. It's many other groups. Plenty of groups in Africa look at themselves like they are not African. African is a term that came across in the 1800s. I think the 1900s, but the 1800s, that's a newer term. All these countries were renamed. You're not really what you say you are. You know what I mean? And then if you want to be technical and you want to say we all come from Africa, everybody comes from Africa. Africa is the, okay, cool. If you're Nigerian, or any of those other Nigerian or any of these newer countries that were created, you're San African. You come from the San people. Those are the oldest people. And I don't see any San people in here saying everybody's San. Everybody comes from us. We have the oldest DNA. No, it's just these Africans, Nigerians, fucking Ghanaians, all these people trying to monopolize being black. Like they have control over what the black community does. Like, oh yeah, well, not control, but they get to share in all of our accomplishments, everything we do, everything that happens with us, because They are because they're African, and they say we come from Africans. Now, I'm not one of these FBAs who's gonna lie to you. I'm not one of these FBAs who just, I will admit that there are some FBAs out here who just don't want to be African. They just hate it. You know what I mean? If the out of Africa theory is to be believed, which it is a theory, it's not really any substantial proof to it. But if it is to be believed, and why I say there is no substantial proof to it is because we're talking about bones being dug up, archaeology. They're digging up bones and saying, okay, these were the oldest people. But until you dig up every bone on the planet Earth, you can't say. You know what I mean? You can say this is the oldest that we found, but you can't say. You know what I mean? Second thing, America is one of the countries that has had the least amount of archaeology done there. There's plenty of mounds that haven't been dug up. Not saying there's none, but there's plenty of mounds that haven't been dug up. There's plenty of things that haven't been discovered in the Americas and that have been discovered and covered up. So, I mean, when you speak on these things, when you're talking about the out of Africa theory, I will admit that there is some there's some evidence that leans to that, but the evidence doesn't prove it. It's not a fact. It's just as the theory of multi-regional migrations is just as plausible as everybody came from Africa. Everybody could have derived on the earth could have been Pangea and everybody derived from there, and when it split up, everybody ended up on different continents. We know the first people were black, just off genetics and DNA. So saying you are just because you're black, you're the first black people, that has nothing to do with nothing. Because that you're not using that against the Europeans who are over there stealing all your fucking resources in your country, murdering y'all at higher rates, who went over there and created mass genocides over there. You have no smoke for them. You got all the smoke for a black American. And I will admit that I don't like how some FBAs use this as this whole diaspora thing as a way to disrespect other black nations and other black countries, like telling people they eat dirt cookies and shit. Now, I get it. If they come in for us, which they tend to do a lot, it's okay for us to go back at you. Y'all can't talk shit as good as us. That's the problem. We'll flame your ass right the fuck up and leave you where you was. So I get it. While some of my black Americans are just defending themselves. You're not finna just talk shit about my people and think that we ain't finna say shit about you. But then some of these channels have turned into all out just shit on immigrants or shit, not even the immigrants, because I get it. Fuck the immigrants. They're here. They're being used as tools as white supremacy. You know what I mean? And they're okay with it. They love it. As long as they can stay, they'll do whatever the white man tells them to do. You know what I mean? They'll treat us however the white man treats us. You know what I mean? Because they're just mimicking the behavior that they see from the most successful people in the country. Not to say that black people aren't successful and we don't have anything, but the people who own all the resources, own most of the land, and are controlling the country are majority Caucasian. So they're just mimicking their behavior in the country, which means they all gang up on one target. I have a whole video on the psychology of a bully and immigration, and you guys should go watch that. I'll put a link in the comment section. But I mean, not comments. Yeah, I'll link it in the comments. Matter of fact, I'll pin it and link it in the comments. But this is the problem. You know what I mean? So back to the out of Africa theory. That's one way that Africans trying to monopolize black, but they only weaponize that against African Americans. You guys are Africans. Okay, now this is a question. Some Africans out there, I want to ask them, do you believe that the Egyptians were Middle Eastern and white, like they portray them in the history books? Do you believe that the Sphinx nose was knocked off by erosion? Do you believe that? I'm sure your answer is no if you have any type of education. Your answer should be no. No, you don't believe that. You don't believe what they're telling you about history. But then when it comes to Black American history, something you're not well versed in and really don't know much about and don't care to do more research about, you just take the white man's word for it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. We have also took the white man's word for it for way too long. You know what I mean? We just took his word for it. Like, yeah, he said this is what happened, so that's what happened. But now that we have people actually diving into it, doing the research, saying this, and it's fine. I see Pan-Africans doing stuff that are trying to debunk the research. It's fine. That's fine. I love it. Just do it genuinely. You know what I mean? Genuinely look at the research and try to figure it out. You know what I mean? Instead of only looking at the research to disprove the other side. You know what I mean? Trying to find an angle for you to use to disprove the other side. With Africans, what happens in America, our American history. With Africans, what happens in America, our American history, has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. It's not like you guys have been fighting for us. It's not like you guys really give a fuck about what's going on with us. You haven't. And that's another one of my problems with Pan-Africans. Pan-Africans are fucking weird. Because how can you have all this smoke for people, your own people, on the same continent as you? Like, we're all American. We're all Black American. They just added an F at the beginning. Foundational Black American to distinguish us from other groups who come here and are able to mark themselves off as Black American. There's just to distinguish us. And you're fighting against your own people for a group of people who don't give a fuck about you. A group of people who still have child slavery going on in their country. I also have a video on that. I also have a video on child slavery going on. Africans selling their own people to Middle Easterns right now today. I'm not talking about 10, 30, 200 years ago, 400 years ago. I'm talking about today. They're enslaving, they're buying children, African children with no parents, enslaving them. In my video, there's a guy who's making children dive to the bottom of the lake and die. Literally, children. So this is what I'm saying. You have all this smoke for your own people in your own country. You can't get together with us. You can't have unity with us because we don't agree with being, because some of us don't agree with being African, because that's true. There were some natives. And because you believe that you're African because you've been told that you're African, which may be true. No, I'm not one of these FBAs that's going to be like the slave trade. And I feel like any FBA that says the slave trade is fake never happened. That's bullshit. Okay, we're not going to go there. There are some Africans here. There are some people that descend from Africans here. But not everybody here was African. See, this is my problem with the out of Africa theory. Is that they try to do the everybody came from Africa. So that way we have no claim to any other lands. You know what I mean? We have no claim to anywhere because all you niggas came from was Africa. But truly, what I believe is that melanated people, yes, the group that created Europeans and Asians, they say they migrated out at a certain time. But there's evidence showing now that there was earlier migrations out of Africa. And then they like to tell you, well, they only migrated east. They went to Europe and Middle East and China and Russia. They went all the way over there. But they couldn't make it. They couldn't make it to the Americas. First off, that could be wrong because we don't know what the land looked like back then. They can try to make models of what the land looked like back then and sea levels and what rise and but you don't know. Truly, honestly, you don't know. There could have been a bridge that they could have walked across to get to the Americas. Straight right there down by South America to Africa. Okay, you could say that. They could have had boats. Saying that they didn't have boats is crazy. You don't know what they had. Nobody knows. They could have made it to the Americas. Third thing, if they say the Siberians walked across the Bering Strait, the land bridge, to get over here, and that's why they're native to the land, before there were Siberians, they come from a black people who could have also walked across that land bridge and been over in the Americas. So when we're talking about the out of Africa theory, and this is why I get so angry with Africans, is because they try to monopolize black, like all black has to be African. But you don't see them having that smoke with the Australians over there, the native Australians who say, we're not African, we didn't come from Africa. They don't have that smoke for them. Or the Negrito people who live in the Philippines, or the Negrito people who live in the Philippines who are saying, we're not African. We were here. Our ancestors been here. Asian people come from us. So when we see this, bro, that's why it gets so annoying. Because these people think they have a monopoly on black. And so do Pan-Africans. They think everything that's black is African. This is not true. due to DNA, if you look at DNA, even if we migrated out of Africa 10,000 years ago and moved to different continents, you can see the DNA shift from black people to all the other races. The environment shapes your DNA, also with the things that you do, the new traditions that you brought or that you created in this new environment. The new things that you do can shape your DNA in different ways. I'm not saying that this means you don't descend from Africans. No, we can all descend from the San people. If that's the oldest DNA found, okay. Found so far. It doesn't mean it's the oldest. It just means it's the oldest DNA found. It's the most evidence that we have as of now. Okay, cool. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Fine. We all come from the San people. But this far down the lineage to today, your DNA doesn't match those people. You know what I mean? You're not the same as those people. You know what I mean? Africa is one of the most diverse countries in the world with DNA. So everybody in Africa isn't an African. They're all different types of people, different DNA sequences, different things in their blood that some Africans have that some don't. Some of these, so some don't. So putting all those people under one banner is basically saying that if you have melanated skin, you're one of these people. You come from these groups. When that's not true at all. If you have melanated skin, you come from the first people. This is true. This is what, well, not true. This is what I believe. You come from the first people on earth. Everybody else is a offshoot of our DNA, offshoot of that original DNA sequence. You know what I mean? The offshoot of that original DNA, the Eve gene. They're all an offshoot of that. All these other races are an offshoot of that with melanin deficiencies. You know what I mean? They have mutated. You know what I mean? They're mutated black people. That's all really they are. I'm not saying they're not human, but they do carry Neanderthal DNA, which would make sense if the humans migrated out of Africa all across the globe, made it with these Neanderthals, and ended up having all these different races around the world. That's where they come from. That would make sense. But of course, you're not going to get that narrative because the white people don't want you to get that narrative. They're not just gonna straight give it to you. You got to do critical thinking, look at all the evidence for the out of Africa theory, and then you can start to paint the picture. Once you realize that the picture can be painted any type of way, none of it really even matters. Like, it doesn't matter. So these people monopolizing black and trying to act like black people, all black people, Pan-Africans acting like, oh, we're all African. Shut the fuck up. You can't tell nobody what they are. You know what I mean? Not all of us share the same story. If your ancestors came over here on slave ships, that's fine. I'm not against it. That's fine. It may be true. You know what I mean? If you traced your genealogy, but don't tell nobody else who traced their genealogy that they're lying or they're being disingenuous or making shit up. Like, bro, dive into it with them. What are you talking about? Because that's how I came hip to it. Because I used to be the person who was sitting there saying, damn, my people are so lost. They want to be something so bad that they don't know what they want to be. Like, they're saying they're Native American now. And then when I actually looked and did the research and looked into it, I said, hey, there's something to this. It's not fake. It's not just them making shit up because they want to be a different. And that's how I feel like a lot of these Africans and Pan-Africans try to phrase it, as if your people are lost. They're making shit up. At the end of the day, there was melanated people. I believe there was melanated people across the planet. Period, point blank. No matter how you want to put it. We could have all started in Africa, but there was melanated people all across the planet. That's what I'm saying. That's my claim. And anybody who goes against that, I think you're misinformed, miseducated, or give me the right, point me in the direction of the evidence that you have that proves me wrong. You know what I mean? But if you look at DNA, if you look at the genes, the Eve gene, the Adam gene, you look at Albert Perry, a black American who shares DNA with the oldest human. You look at, there's plenty of things you could look at. You look at the migration patterns that they didn't say, and the new evidence that is popping up all across the world. You look at the places that they won't excavate. It all starts to paint a picture for you of what's really going on. But a lot of people won't dig into it that deep. they'll believe, oh, the white man is lying about Egypt and saying that all Egyptians were Middle Eastern and they didn't look dark skinned like the people today, and they'll believe that they'll believe that that's a lie, but they can't believe that the American government is lying about what happened here on this land. Because why would they lie? Why would they lie if they took all the land from all these black people and had a war with these black people and then forced them into schools to re-educate them and give them the history that they wanted? Why would they lie? Why would they take black people and beat all your traditions out of you but that's nor here nor there. All I'm saying is, basically, Africans, this is a FBA problem with Africans, is that you guys think you monopolize black. You don't have any, and I mean not a shred of contributions to anything that happened over here in the Americas. Even if there were some Africans, even if they were all Africans, even if we're all Africans and we got off that boat, the moment we got off that boat, we are no longer you. We are no longer you. We're in a different environment, different things, a different environment. We're speaking different language. Our genes are being mixed with Native Americans here, white people here. This is not to say that we have no African ancestry. This is to say that how is an African who has nothing to do with America, never grew up in America, never been to America, have claim on all black American accomplishments, inventions, everything? How do you have claim to that? You niggas, and then they love to say, well, you weren't even alive during slavery. Neither were you, nigga. So how do you have a claim to anything that happened here? And then they like to say, oh, well, Africans, some FBAs will say, y'all are the ones who sold us over here. I don't believe that. You know what I mean? I don't believe that. I don't believe that all those Africans were sold over here. I believe they're being kidnapped. And that's just a story that the white man uses to, shade blame away, push blame away from himself. You know what I mean? Like, yo, well, we did all these horrible things, but your people are the one who put you through it for real. Like that type shit. You know what I mean? And I think they try to monopolize Africa. They want these Africans to monopolize Africa. Like Africans love to say FBA is an FBI psyop. No, nigga, you're working through the FBI psyop right now by trying to say black people have no claim to any land on the earth except for Africa. Because that's the narrative they're pushing. That is the narrative that they're pushing. There was no black people anywhere but Africa. When Europeans come from black people. It doesn't even make sense. But they're saying there was no black people anywhere. Like Europe, we got Europe. And they do got Europe. Europe is all them. They all live there. It's all them. Okay. Asia, the Asians got Asia. There was black tribes there. They're still there to this day. But they've been diminished. You know what I mean? Their contribution, they've been pushed and suppressed down. But at least the Chinese people admit that they come from them. You know what I mean? They admit they come from the black people. So, if they were there in Europe, and the Europeans come from them, in China, and the Chinese people come from them, I'm going to say in the Americas, and this is where you get the Mexicans. This is where Mexican people come from. It's the mix of that African DNA, that old, ancient African DNA with Neanderthal. Just like and that's where these different races come from. So to say that there was no black people here is the true psyop, because you're trying to lump us all into one country, even though that country has the most diverse genetics out of all countries put together. You could put them all together and add up their numbers. Their genetics still aren't as diverse as Africa. And you're saying, oh, well, yeah, we all come from here. So, yeah, you guys can claim the rest of the world because we all come from Africa. Not true. Not fucking true. I don't want to hear that bullshit because it's annoying. And you Pan-African niggas, I'm gonna make a whole video on y'all because y'all are the worst. Like, gotta be the worst. Like, what is your problem, bruh? Like, you're literally fighting for people who don't give a fuck about you. Ghana came over here to do reparations for them. They want reparations. They not talking about you. They don't give a fuck about you. Don't no African country give a fuck about black Americans. Or Jamaicans. Or Haitians. That's why I got smoke for them too. Because every live I go on, it's like Africans, Jamaicans, Haitians grouped up together, like just talking shit about FBAs. talking shit about black Americans. And it's like, nigga, y'all don't see what they doing. They try to take accomplishments, but they don't frame it like that when it comes to Jamaicans, you know what I mean? They try to embrace them. You can't embrace somebody who's bigger than you. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what it is. That's what I think it is that our culture is outgrown Africa completely. Like, our culture is not an African culture, you know what I mean? Our culture is our culture. There's still traces of African culture in Jamaican culture. You can see it. There's still traces of African culture in Haitian culture. There's no traces. Our culture has been completely Americanized. There's no traces of your culture in our culture. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say none, but a lot of it is forced upon us. You would say, oh, well, I see you guys wearing the dashikis and shit. That all came with the Pan-African movement. Before that, there was no African culture. Like, we're not speaking African over here. You know what I mean? And then we're going to bring up the Gullah Geechee language. It's not African. It's not. It might share some similarities, just like other languages across the world all share similarities. But it doesn't make it an African language. And this is what I want to say, that there were plenty of black Americans over here before the slave trade. I think the slave trade, even Jamaicans, even Haitians, there's plenty of black people. The Dominican Republic, those were melanated people on those islands before the Europeans came. They brought Africans over here to confuse you, to form their narrative of who you truly are, so they can lay claim to all your land. Period, point blank. So in the future, they can say, go back to Africa, niggas, and successfully con you out of everything that's rightfully yours. Is how I truly feel. And I understand my Pan-African brothers. It's like, we all melanated. We all need to stick together. Like, we're all under this white supremacy system. But a lot of these countries work with the white supremacy system. They're okay with it. They whiten their race. They do these things. Well, that's really an Hispanic thing. They whiten their race. They're okay with it. They run with it. They're all gun-ho about it. They want to be white supremacists. And then a lot of these African nations, shout out to Burkina Faso, who's taking a shit back and not taking no shit from these people. But if we had more men like Abraham Traore in Africa, we wouldn't have these issues. We wouldn't have these issues with Africa. You know what I mean? Africa would be a beautiful place being run by people who truly care about melanated beings, their people, even if it's not melanated beings. Nigeria would be the government would truly care about Nigerians there. It would be a world fucking superpower with all the fucking resources they have there. You know what I mean? It would be a world superpower. So if we could work together, all the black people around the world, we outnumber them. We can win. But at the end of the day, you can't work with people who don't like you. At the end of the day, they don't fuck with us. It's plain to see. It is plain to see. And for any of you niggas out here like, oh, what makes you think Africa? Because you had one bad experience with Africans? No. FBA, when you hear FBA speak about immigrants, it's funny because you see a lot of other people in the comments saying, damn, I thought it was just me. Damn, I thought it was just me who had that experience. No, it's a large experience with a lot of them. And those are the ones who immigrate over here. They were well off in their country. They're not taking no fucking African out of a village with no shoes, no nothing, and just being like, hey, you want to go to America? No, they're taking college-educated Africans, the best of the best out of your country, get to make it over here. So these are already uppity-ass niggas in their country who don't give a fuck about their own people, and you expect them to come over here and give a fuck about ours. They're not coming over here, I won't say that. I won't say that because I've been around Africans. I have seen some Africans who build a whole water system back home in their village and shit like that. So I'm not saying none of them. But a lot of them come here and forget about their homeland. They don't give a fuck. You got niggas like DJ Academics who will sit here, made his whole career shitting on black people. Like, look at these ignorant ass niggas in the street shooting each other, making a joke out of people's lives, black American lives. Meanwhile, your home country has the highest murder rate in the world. Not just for multiple years, your country has had the highest murder rate in the world. And it's one of the smallest nations in the world. And it has the highest murder rate. You guys are killing each other at the highest rate in the whole entire world. But you got the nerve to come over here and talk shit about our people and shit on our people and say they're ignorant and they're this, and that. But you'll never hear a word about Jamaica, a bad word about Jamaica ever come out of his mouth. Ever. Ever. When does he ever speak on this country? If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Link me to a video of DJ Academics shitting on Jamaica and the policies and the things going on over there. No. But he loves to come shit on black Americans. And then once he made some money off that grift and he knew that grift wasn't going to take him far because niggas was getting mad about it, all of a sudden he switches to hip hop, and now he's one of the biggest hip hop people, and he acts like he just got into a debate with Sneeko, acting like he cares about all black people. No, nigga, no, you don't. And I'm not saying people can't change. Maybe he didn't give a fuck. He didn't understand then, and now he understands. But at the end of the day, nigga, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. You did that shit. You've yet, well, I won't say he's yet to apologize about it, but you've yet to switch up your content. Go talk about Africa. I mean, go talk about Jamaica. That's where you're from. Big up your people over there. Help your people over there. And then that's the same type of nigga that's when Drake is talking about Kendrick is rapping like he's trying to get the slaves free. He's like, yeah, nobody wants to hear that fucking shit. Nobody cares. Yo, you don't give a fuck. Cause you're not one of us, nigga. That's why you don't give a fuck. That's why you can ride Drake meat like that, because you don't understand the nuances of what Kendrick was saying about people coming to our culture who are not truly from our culture, using it to get where they want to be, and then completely denouncing it like, I'm not them. We're not them. That's the same thing Drake does. You know what I mean? He comes over here, uses our fucking culture, uses the rap music, talks like he's in a strip club. Like, literally, if you listen to Drake music, you would think that he's just rapping about black stereotypes that aren't true. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying Kendrick is a fucking savior or anything. He has his own problems in himself. But what I am saying is at least he tries to uplift his people with his music, because that's what we're here for. If we're not here to better our people, better our culture, then what are we here for? But when you get people who truly don't care about the culture because they're not from it, they don't give a fuck about uplifting our people. But you notice they won't go back and do that to their own people. And that's what pisses me off. That's what pisses me off. Because they don't go back and do that to their own people. So that's the problem with Africans, immigrants as a whole. I don't want to say fuck them, but you know what I mean? Y'all niggas come over here, you be used as white supremacists, and there are some who aren't like that. 100%. That's facts. There are some that aren't like that. And all respect to them. We not mad at all people of immigrant descent. We're mad at the ones who don't get it. We're mad at the ones who are used as white supremacists. We're mad at the ones like Byron Donalds, who runs for office. I think in Florida, he's running for office, and he's running on the point that black Americans don't deserve reparations. But you're from Grenada. What the fuck does reparations for us have to do with you? What does it have to do with you? Same thing with the Africans. What does anything black Americans, if we decide we want to delineate, if we decide we don't want to be African, what the fuck does that have to do with you? We're not saying African's not a thing. Nobody's allowed to be African anymore. That's stupid. Then I would expect you to push back. Like, bitch, we're African. You can't tell us what to do. But we're saying we don't want to be African. It's not that we don't want to be African, but we're saying we are not African. All of us are not. Some of us do descend from the slave trade. This is true. But all of us are not African. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. If we're saying we want to delineate and hold our culture to ourselves, what's wrong with that? But then you have the Somalians saying it, and I don't see no smoke for them. They're saying we're not black. I've seen plenty of Africans on the continent of Africa say we're not black. I don't even know what black is, which makes sense. If you come from a country with all black people, black wouldn't even be a thing, really. You know what I mean? You wouldn't notice it because you come from a place with all black people. So it's okay for you motherfuckers to denounce our label, but then as soon as we say, you know what, fuck it, we not black no more either. We not just black American either. We foundational black American. Everything we built is for us. We need to go forward, focusing on us, focusing on what we got going on. You motherfuckers are mad. You motherfuckers are, no, you're African. No, you're African. The truth is that you don't want us to delineate because you want to still be able to claim all of our accomplishments. You want to be able to claim our culture as yours. That's the real problem. And it's no smoke for these people, you know what I mean? It's no smoke. But so there's this dude, right? I watched a video. I just want to bring this up. It's an African dude. He lives in, I don't remember which Asian country it was. I think it was China. But his girl's Chinese. Like, he's an expat and he has a Chinese girlfriend. And they have a kid together. Beautiful thing. And he was walking around with his girl one day and he's showing her things like, I'm going to show you all the black Americans, not black Americans. He wants to say, you don't believe that blacks have accomplished anything. I want to show you all of the inventions. So the whole video is basically him walking around showing her shit. Like, he'll open the refrigerator. What is this? This was created by a black man. And then he would run down like the name of the person who created it, where they were from, blah, 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 blah. What is that? A traffic light. Like, as they're riding around. That was created by, she's like, no way, a black person? Yeah. Then he'll run her down. At the end of the video, she asked a pivotal question that really stomped his ass. She said, and if y'all want to see this video, y'all want me to react to this, I will. Just let me know in the comments. But she said, but they're not African. They're all African American. All these inventions and people that you name, majority of them are African American. He said, no. But when we come to China, you guys all look at us all as black, right? So they're black, just like I'm black. Which is cool to say. Okay, cool, whatever. But nigga, no. Give the credit to the people who deserve it. Give the credit to the people who deserve it. What is wrong with you? Honestly, like, say, yeah, they are black Americans, but they're our brothers. They're our family. You know what I mean? And I won't get on him because I feel like that's genuinely what he was trying to say. But this is what I'm saying. They want to latch on to all of our accomplishments. They want to latch on to all of the great things we did. And it's not to say that they haven't done anything great. Any of these other races, black races in any other country. It's not to say that they haven't done anything great in their own right or don't have a rich culture of their own. But why the fuck are you trying to latch on to ours so hard? You know what I mean? Like, if Jamaicans today said, you know what? We don't want to be black no more. We're only Jamaican. That's it. And we want no ties to black Americans. I'm sure black Americans will be like, okay, I'm not black. I'm OJ. Okay. They go like, all right, what the fuck you want us to do about it? Like, I don't care what any other people do about themselves. So this is the problem with Africans is why do you give a fuck about us so much? So much to the point where it matters. And then they want to say because FBAs are talking shit and they're just talking shit about Africans. Not unwarranted. Some of them are. But like I said in the beginning, some of them are. But a lot of them are just responding to motherfuckers who come over there talking shit about black Americans. And you act like you don't see that. You're not going to say shit that other people say about us. What's his name? First time I seen, I'm trying to think of his name. First time I seen, though, a black British. I didn't even know there were black British all my life. Like, not all my life. And I knew there were some who immigrated over there. But I didn't know it was like a thing. Like, I didn't know, I don't know you niggas. You don't cross my timeline. I don't see you in the media in America. Like, it's not a thing. You know what I mean? But first time I heard one of them talk, it was on Adonis Live, Adonis's channel. And he was going around Europe asking them about black Americans. And I will say he was asking a lot of younger kids who don't truly understand. He's not like he was interviewing scholars or anything, but just walking down the street asking people, like, what do you like black Americans? And they're like, they're lost. They're lost people. They don't even know where they come from. What the fuck is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? And that was my first introduction to black British talking about black Americans in any light. When I've never heard a black American even bring up a black Briton. We don't care where the fuck you're from. But all these people around the world have something negative to say about black Americans. It's so fucking sick. It's so funny. Fuck off, suck a dick. But it's been your boy Hendo. I've been ranting in this one a little long. So, I'm going to have to piece this together. Hopefully we get it together right. But, yeah, we out.